Another package from Amazon today. New grease gun came in. Nothing special. I've already got several laying around, so I don't really need anything fancy. A couple tubes of Lucas grease. This is what we've really been waiting for. Thanks to Tractor Time with Tim for pointing this out. Picked myself up a LockNLube. So, grease gun, I just wanted something that I could put a tube of grease in, really something I could put LockNLube on. But I wanted it specifically to use on the Kubota. I've already got one prepped to use on the Cub Cadet mower. And I've got one prepped to use on the Husqvarna MZT. So I just picked up something cheap on Amazon that came in at a good price. And I wanted a pistol grip. Price was decent, so we'll see how this works. It says it's a Grease Tech. Pistol grip was the real big thing I just wanted. Comes with straight fitting, flexible hose. First, we'll go ahead and we'll set up this hose so that we can put the LockNLube on it. Looks like I need a 12mm and a 14mm to take this coupler off. A little bit of sealant that they had on there. And get this LockNLube opened up. See what we got. LockNLube grease coupler. Free spare seal kit. Replaces the seal, not the coupler. Grease goes in, not on the machine. End greasing frustration. I'd buy it just for that. New product features. Stronger jaws, longer lasting seal, improved design eliminates pressure locks. Locks on, stays on, won't pop off a leak. Compatible with all grease guns and grease fittings. Fits standard 1/8 inch NPT hose connection. Easily replaceable seal and jaws. It says that it's got the free seal kit included. Open her up here. Look at that. That is quite nice. You can already tell what that's going to do as soon as you put it on something. Here is a coupler seal replacement instructions. Looks pretty straightforward. Stick it on your hose. Should be good to go. Like advertised. Fits exactly as they say. Need a 15mm to fit over the end of the LockNLube and be able to tighten this up. I'm not going to put any more sealant on the end of this just because that stuff looks fresh enough and I'm not really worried about it. No matter what you do with a grease gun, you're going to end up with your grease shedding oil out of something. You can use whatever kind of sealant that you want to put on these threads or tape or anything, but they actually do have tape specifically made for use with petroleum products. Use these on fittings and things that have oil running through them, gasoline, things like that. Went around 2 times, just enough to seal it on there. Go ahead and screw this in. Grab that 12mm wrench again. Been back in the wrong place last time because I wasn't paying attention. Snug this up. Feels good, don't overdo it. Don't want to break anything. There we go. Set up with LockNLube on the end of our hose. The grease gun is ready to be sealed up. Go ahead and take a tube of grease. If you're not familiar with how to do this, it's not super hard. Grease gun comes apart. Okay, this one has a quick, I don't know what you would even want to call that, but it'll go ahead and set the handle where some of them have a hole you got to pull out and move the handle over. Just go ahead, pull that back. Tube of grease. Some busted up plastic chunks in there. You don't want those getting into anything. From when they shipped it, they busted the cover here. Anyway, go ahead, open into the tube, pull that cap off and stick it down inside of your grease gun. Once you put that grease tube down inside of here, you got to go ahead, pull the end of this can off so you expose your grease. That's how it's going to get up inside of your grease gun. You need to use a little bit of pressure to get this to go up in there. Get those threads started. Don't cross thread them. Go ahead and screw it all the way up in there. And there is a O-ring seal up inside of this one that I noticed. So you don't need to put anything on the threads. Hopefully that'll keep all that grease from separating and oil coming out of it. Go ahead and release this. Push this rod up inside of there. Okay. Now that plunger can go ahead, push that grease up in there. I can already feel we've got grease. We're ready to go. But you're only greasing these fittings every 10 hours, I believe, is what's recommended by Kubota on this BX23S. And this is a backhoe and loader tractor. So it's got quite a few fittings on it. But clean the fittings out before you go grease them. It takes you a couple minutes, but you can see here I've got dirt in the back of this one. You know, this has got grease that's got dirt all contaminated in it. Surprisingly, this is pretty clean. But you don't want to stick that grease gun fitting on here and pump that dirt inside where all the grease is coming out around the pin. You want to get that clean so that you've got fresh grease going in there. So just take a rag, wipe it out. You know, when you're only doing this every so often, it's a quick process, not hard to do, waste one rag. You know, I'll get a brush in a moment and I'll scrape some of that dirt out of there because I don't want to leave it in there either because it'll be stuck all over the end of my new LockNLube. There we go. So, we got 4 fittings we can work on right here real quick. Nice and clean. Ready to get some fresh grease inside of them. Alright, got our LockNLube. Just pull this back. Opens up those jaws. Looks like it's going to work great. Go ahead and stick it in there. Look at that. That's a nice solid connection. I like that. We'll go ahead. A few pumps of grease inside this fitting. Now there's no need to pump grease until you see it coming out of everywhere. You're just going to make a big mess that you got to go back, clean up later when that stuff's coming out of all those fittings. And that attracts a lot of dirt later. You just want grease to be inside here where this pin is. Man, this LockNLube works great. Comes off nice and easy. No more pulling on the end of the hose, trying to flex it over to get that thing to come off of that Zerk fitting. And it leaves it nice and clean. That's great. Simple wipe up with a rag. And that'll be nice and clean again. You want to get all this grease off of here so that you're not having dirt stick to everything. There we go. I've only got 20 hours on here. This has been greased before. So now we're greasing it again. We'll go ahead and get these things cleaned up. There you go. 4 fittings nicely greased. everything is cleaned back up. Wipe off the end of this LockNLube here. It's got a little bit of grease on it, but it's not bad. But I really do like the way this thing works. That was well worth the money spent on it. For those of you that have got a Kubota and have the BT603, and I believe it was the BT602 before this, the little backhoe on the BX series, don't forget to get this Zerk fitting that's way down in here inside of all these hydraulic hoses. I'm going to have to go around the other side and get this. But it is filthy down there. Lots of dirt, grease all stuck down in there. And you're going to have to move some of these hydraulic lines out of your way. But the flexible hose is the only way that you're going to get down in there. So I'll go ahead and clean that all out. And I'll get my new LockNLube down in there, and we'll get that one greased too. We'll go ahead and get down in here. Get that cleaned out. It is covered up in grease. So it really needs to be cleaned out. End up using a whole rag on just this one here. But like I said before, you don't want to leave this like this because dirt will cling to all this grease, and the next time you go to grease it up, it's going to force that grease down into that fitting. And one of the reasons you want to be putting new grease in this all the time is, of course, you want to lubricate these pins and all these friction points. And they have a lot of pressure in them. But when you force grease through there, you're also forcing fresh, clean grease, which means you're forcing out any dirt, contaminants that may be inside of there currently. So you want to keep this done on a regular basis. Excellent. Well, that LockNLube and that new grease gun worked out great paired together. Got everything on my backhoe is all greased up. But it looks like most of my points, as usual, are always going to be easier if I get outside. And I lift up my loader so I can get to the point. So I'll have to venture outside. Fortunately, we don't have any rain today like we've been getting lately, but our lake is almost full, which means that's going to be good news when I pull out the boat in about a month. So we'll go ahead and get outside and we'll get this loader all greased up as well. Maybe when my son gets home, we'll go outside and we'll shoot some drone video of the tractor driving around again, because he really enjoys doing that. We'll go ahead and hit some of these fittings, make sure they're cleaned off. It's much easier to do, especially some of these. You can go ahead and raise your loader up and get in here. Now, as you can see, or if you saw in my other video, I have a land pride grapple. And there's the whole thing about, you know, it has these weak jaws, always tend to break, so on and so forth. You know, there's always a debate about how good things are, and here they could really use a Zerk fitting, and here they could, and they could down here. There's always stuff to make improvements on. We see that all the time. To me, it's just as easy. I'll go ahead and put a fitting in these ends so that I can add grease in there. But considering what I got this unit for, and I bought it with the package of the tractor and my bush hog here and everything, even my trailer, all as one. It was a money thing. It was the right price, and it works well for me. I have already moved a substantially heavy tree and had it twisted sideways in this thing. It was about 40 feet long, and I had to drag it on a hill because I couldn't cut the tree with a saw because the tree would have rolled down the hill on me. So I wanted to put it perpendicular to the hill. And I used this grapple to go ahead and drag it sideways. Of course, that's easier said than done. It happened, you know, it worked out good. I kind of suspected that I was going to bend some of these tines. Fully expected to hop off of the tractor and see that they were bent or possibly even busted right off. Not a problem yet. But that being said, you know, if you're in the market for one of these and you're buying your tractor and you can have one put in your package, it's a great deal. If you're looking for one right now, if I were to be in the market for one right now, I would not hesitate to call Travis at EA and pick up a Wicked Grapple. That is an awesome looking beast. I mean, it's kind of just cool having this thing on here all the time, and that thing looks good. Another thing that I would just absolutely love for this machine to have, these need to be flat face couplers. I pointed that out in my last video that I did with just the grapple, but these old Pioneer fittings, I think is what they're called, what a pain. It would be so much better to be able to throw this grapple on and never have to turn my machine off. I know they say you got to turn your machine off anyway with flat face couplers, but and the dealership did this. Why not flip one of these around so that I don't have to color code them? They've got females both on the grapple and males both on the tractor. Should make pretty obvious sense to just about anybody out there that it should have been opposite, so that you hook them up the same way every time. Alright, now we've got everything cleaned up. It's greased, it's ready to do some work. We'll figure out another project that we need to go do. Probably let my son dig a couple of more holes. There's down the hill. We've, between the two of us, been having a little bit too much fun, I guess you could say. But there's a lot of random holes that are just taking place. Because what else are you going to do when you have a bush hog and a loader and a backhoe? Well, you play with them. Covers so we don't get all messy. We'll pick up the loader, the bucket.
It has water in it.
That's okay, we'll dump it out.
Yep.
Now I'm not going to show everybody a video about how to take off the backhoe on a BX23S or the front end loader, because there are plenty of people out there that do a very good job of demonstrating to you what you need to do. Firstly, probably the best is looking at the Messick's videos. A helping hand with your land. Go on there and watch Neil Messick, and he does a few videos where you can see them doing these things. They're very simple. There's not a whole lot to do. In fact, my son just took off the backhoe. And there you go. He has successfully taken off the loader as well. The only thing that's a little weird to me is this, the diverter valve, the two wires that have to be unhooked. They kind of just, one of them just kind of hangs on the tractor. These are the plugs I was talking about. I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do with them. I guess maybe I'll look in the manual and see if it says anything about it, but I haven't skimmed over anything yet. But, you know, I don't know if you're supposed to plug these into each other, because obviously they would fit, but is that going to be an electrical short? I have no idea. I mean, I would think that's a ground or something, but I'm not quite sure. But I just wish it had some place to put it. I don't know, I don't exactly like this whole idea here. It's a little bit flimsy if you ask me. There should be a better way. Even if these plugs were further up or something where they could be put together better. Some kind of a military fitting or something that they would screw together, or something where they were stronger. And maybe a cable from here to wherever this goes so that you can't pull that apart. So we took the loader and the backhoe off of the Kubota because we wanted to see how it really compared to the size of this Cub Cadet that we have, 2182. It's a 91 model. It's got a 3-cylinder Kubota in it, but it's a gas engine. Thing runs like a champion. Bought it as a project and it just really turned into a workhorse for us. So we wanted to see how they compared. My son wants to go down to the creek and see how much water's in there after all this rain, so take a ride with me. Great, well thanks for joining us today. I appreciate everybody stopping by YouTube and looking at our channel. We're just really doing this for fun. Learning how to shoot a video and how to edit, things like that. And we like to play with tractors, fly our drone. We've got boat videos, trips that we're taking, things like that. So just a lot of fun that we get to do. My son Kaleb here and I want to give a shout out, a special thanks to Tractor Time with Tim for some inspiration. We watch a lot of Paul and Kathy Short videos, and of course we love watching Kubota videos from Neil Messick's.
A helping hand with your land.
So thanks a lot for stopping by. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe. We'll be making some more. Thanks.